This is That Comic Smell podcast, featuring your hosts,
David Robertson,
Fernando Pons,
Giuseppe Lambertino,
and Tom Stewart.
Striped with blood and emblazed tattoo, streaking cathedral spire to say.
Tony! Hey, Tony!
Tony's like,
Yeah, what was this?
It's always
Tony,
recording.
Tony's my taxi name.
Tony!
It's my taxi name and my telephone name.
Tony.
Yeah. Unless it's something official where they actually need my real name. I just say Tony to make it easy.
Good.
Because I'm sick of people going,
What? So do you say?
all I'm ordering. Yeah.
Okay.
Over the phone
Yeah, I
to
suppose.
someone.
Yeah, they're not expecting that. They're expecting.
You know, if
Tony.
I'm just ordering fish and chips to pick up,
Yeah.
Tony.
do you really want me to spell my name? No,
Right.
it's just Tony.
Yeah.
Can I have a taxi? So, how do you spell that? Oh, it's
Tony.
just Tony.
T-O-N.
mate. Tony.
Yeah.
Tony.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I understand.
many a times it's been used.
Tony. It's T-O-H-N-I-E.
I've even had some people say what to that. It's like, I can't get much easier than Tony. Well, I suppose I can. Tom.
John. But then they'd be like, is that an H
Bob.
or a name?
Oh, no,
Yeah.
see when you say Tom, that you always get John.
Do you?
And the phone, yeah, if I go, oh, thanks for Tom. For John, no, Tom.
Maybe
John.
Bill then. Bill. I might
Bob.
use Bob.
Just
It's Bob.
Bob.
Yeah.
See, I
There's
tend
no mistaking Bob,
I
is there?
tend to find there's no mistaking in David.
Bob.
David. I told you about that Spanish guy I worked with who said his name was Carlos because when he first came to Dundee and he was working at Asda,
Oh yeah.
they couldn't say his name,
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So you just say it was
so he just said
Carlos.
it's Carlos because that's the first name that he could think of that the gringos would be able to say.
Jeez, so.
And it,
What was his name?
Jesus.
Jesus. Yeah, Jesus, yeah.
Yeah, but probably someone at Asda actually probably read it and said Jesus over the tannoy.
Sure.
Probably.
Oh, right.
Said, can Jesus come to Butters and Fats? Or
And it was just
can,
And a mass crowd
Yeah.
erupted around going,
can Jesus
It's
come to
coming!
the biscuit aisle? He's already
I can
there.
see! I can see now! I can see the line!
So obviously he
Oh
was
my God.
like, so he's like, oh, Carlos from now on.
Carlos.
Dump. A lovely
Brought
title.
this bad boy.
Dump.
That was the first
Yeah.
one that I read. Of his.
Dump.
Boom.
Yeah, but it's like David Robertson's dump.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then you see how tall.
Turned off.
Exactly, you see how tall and big David Robertson's is. And the image he puts into your head when he goes, David Robertson's dump, you think, that's a mega toilet. That's a big old bowl. You see, that is the first. I've got to tell you that because that is the first thing that came into my head when I heard David Robertson's dump.
Of course, yeah.
Because you didn't go, David Robertson's Berserker Drop.
No, I didn't.
Oh, David Robertson's
That's
Zero,
right.
some bubble gum, yeah.
Yeah, but
David Robertson's dump.
absolutely. Dump. Yeah.
See, that one seems like more of a command. Dump David Robertson.
Dump. Somebody was telling you to do it.
Was that number 2?
Yes.
Yeah. Is number 1? Did you bring number 1? Have you got a copy of number 1?
No, I didn't. Number 1's kind of all finished. I've run out of them. Actually, I've run out of number 2 as well.
But you kept one for
Oh,
yourself,
I've got like, a
Yeah.
couple in the house, yeah. So it's just, it's number 3 at the moment.
Yeah.
Dump 3. It was obviously part of you know, whenever you're making a comic, you have to make up a name for it, you know, and that was definitely one of those where I thought, oh God, I'm going to call it Dump. You know, I sat and thought, oh God, I'm not going to be able to think of a better title than Dump.
I suppose.
And then
once
when
you
I
got
went, oh God, and David Robertson's Dump, oh, it's got to be that. I was sitting like groaning to myself.
I know what you mean. Once you've got the idea that you think that's
It's like,
it.
Yeah, what else could it be now?
It's exactly.
I'm not going to get any better than David Robertson's Dump. You know, it's so awful. I can't beat that.
And that was that.
And that was it.
Yeah.
This one was good because it was Dump number 2.
Ah, yeah.
I liked that as well.
So
Yeah.
what's is that it now? Are you out of
Dump's
toilet lines?
Dump's finished. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Is it because you can't find
It's
the
called
fourth?
Dump because the story that goes through the 3 issues is called Dump. There's a story called Dump in it, and that finished.
Right.
Is it?
I've not read
And
that.
and then there was the idea that it was a dump for all the different comics that I do. You know, it's my book like once a year, so it had a few different meanings as well as being a bit.
Yeah, so there ain't going to be a filthy fourth.
Not anytime soon. Never say never. I might fancy having another dump at some point. I've been doing this for years. I enjoy it.
Well, you're good at it.
Yeah.
Have they always been on your own thing, Fred Egg comics?
Yeah. Well, these.
Even the first one.
What Dump one? Yeah.
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 So you've always went by Fred Egg comics.
Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, Fred Egg was a character I made up when I was 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to actually do comics about a character called Fred Egg that ran around having adventures and things like that.
Right.
But at that time, I used to, because I was reading like American comics at the time, and I was struck by, the DC logo in the corner.
Yeah.
And so I used to kind of copy it and make it DR. You know? So I used to do like DR comics, and it would be Fred Egg was one of the stories.
Right, okay.
But then later on, when I was thinking of doing it as an adult, like more seriously, I had to. That was another one where I thought, well, what will I call it? What would I call the company? Me and the photocopier. And then I just suddenly thought one day, oh my God, Fred Egg. It was another one of those Fred Egg comics. It's got to be. It's got to be Fred Egg comics. I can't get a better name than that.
Yeah.
And I had all that history with it. And I did like the name Fred Egg, with him being an egg called Fred, with the Dundee dialect, The amount of times I send it to people and they write back and say, oh, blah, blah, Fried Egg comics, and I always have to write back and
Say to them.
correct them,
It's funny, I've never thought about it like that, the fact that it's the Dundee.
Yeah, that's really, that was the
Fred
idea.
Egg.
Yeah, it's
Fred
from the
Egg.
I
Dundee.
remember you explaining
Fred
that
Egg.
to me the first time,
Yeah.
I liked it.
I just took it at face value. It's just Fred, the
It's
egg.
Fred and he's an egg, which is true as well, yeah.
So he used to be a character.
Yeah,
I suppose technically still is a character, but he's one that he used to draw.
that's
about.
right, yeah. I had an origin story for him and everything. And
So what? He was a superhero Fried Egg.
he had the story was total nonsense. It was something as basic as somebody was cooking an egg and then knocked on the door and they went, oh! And the egg flew up in the air and landed on the rings of the cooker. Yeah, that process in itself made it come to life. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it electric cooker or gas?
It was electric, yeah, because I can still see.
Ah,
I
there you
remember
are,
drawing it.
Exactly.
Well,
Electroconvulsive therapy.
We need to think about the other
Fred
egg.
Egg.
Fred Egg, that's
And he
it.
ran off of the house,
Oh, he was it.
He was
He was off and
He was
running.
away and having adventures. And then I used to sit and do like parodies of other things, whatever I liked at the time. So I would have like Spider Egg and, I would, the way to do that with characters.
Oh, parodies of
anything I felt like
Fred Egg.
doing. And
A
so
Fred Egg.
there was a whole Fred Egg kind of universe that I was making. Every time I did another character
I like that.
was an egg. Say, I used to do Doomlord as well for the Eagle. He was like
Doomlord,
and his wee ring was like an egg.
Did it become difficult to distinguish between in terms of creating a new,
No, because I just whatever I liked, I just turned them into an egg. Whatever the latest thing I was reading was, I could have still been doing
you
it now.
equified him?
Yeah, I mean, I really was. This was all when I was like primary school.
By the
Is that when you started Fred Egg in primary school?
Yeah, when I was 8. That's when I did it.
Right.
I think
Fred
you
Egg.
should do
Bring them back.
Bring him back.
Uh-huh.
Even
A
if
dark-
it's just for a short
Dark
story.
version, and you could.
Well, no.
You could
Don't
fight
get carried away.
terrorism.
Don't get carried away now.
SWAT team Fred Egg.
This isn't your father's Friday.
Don't go that way either. Mark Miller's no, that's not gonna work. It didn't work for him.
I don't know. Maybe I'll bring them back something.
Yeah, you
I
should
like
do
them
some
sitting-
story,
I'm
some
proud of them sitting
anniversary,
on the
some
cover.
anniversary
Yeah.
story or something. You do. You should do something.
Actually, I
like
was really tickled to when I made my website. I put Fred Egg Comics, and I wanted something underneath it, and I thought, what will I write? And I thought, I know what I'll write, and I wrote "Established 1980" by David Robertson.
that. Well, why not?
Oh, why not? It's true.
It's true. You're there, alright.
It's so ridiculous.
So, obviously, you had Fred Egg from, like we were saying, from primary school. So,
Yeah.
have you always been drawing comics since about then?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, on and off. I always drew comics, and then probably. Yeah, it's a long story, isn't it? It's the story of your life. So I
Take us through it.
yeah, I was probably doing a lot of comics, and then probably no. Do you know? I never did.
Were
Funnily
you
enough,
alone, or did you have pals at school that were into it?
well, way back when I started Fred Egg, initially it was me and my pal Stuart, and we used to. Actually, I've not spoken to him about this for years, but my memory is.
Did you
we-
fall
we
out
used-
over Fred Egg?
No.
Oh, right.
He said
No,
he
that's where it
created
was
it.
going.
I thought it was going to be an Adidas and Puma story.
No, it
then.
used to be like
That was
one,
gonna be
Fred
like
Egg and
Lee
Boil
Kirby.
Egg.
It's going to be like Lee Kirby here.
no, one week I would make a comic and give him it, and the next week he'd make one and give me it, and we just swapped them.
that's
So that's how it started. But then,
How long would that have been? Would it be like a 4-page thing or something?
yeah, probably like one bit of paper folded, and
Right.
that was it. Yeah. So, and then from there, I was always doing them on and off. But the thing is, it wasn't a vacuum. It was kind of, there was no reason to be doing it.
No.
I mean, like art teachers or English teachers at school in those times wouldn't be like, well,
Oh yeah, they wouldn't
interested.
They wouldn't have been that
It was
enthused
a
with it. Yeah.
known event,
Yeah.
So it was just something I liked doing, but nobody was really fussed, So you were doing it for your own pleasure.
Yeah.
Not much has changed. Nobody's all that interested in them either. But yeah, I was digging through. There was a story in one of these that I did, Bum Monster,
I like Bum Monster.
and Bum Monster. That came about because they were doing a decap, and it was to be a child-friendly one. And I thought, oh, I know Bum Monster, and I had
Child friendly and then Bum Monster.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Bum Monster was like late 90s. I sat and scribbled it out, and I'd never drawn it because again I did it and thought, haha, and I just left it. I mean, so what?
Late 90s.
Late 90s.
They were the
late
heady
1990s.
days of Oasis and that whole
Yeah, they were.
The Britpop days.
Britpop thing where it was.
Yeah, so you can see that Bum
Bum
Monster
Monster.
fitted in with that.
Bum,
scene.
exactly. Bum Monster was in the whole loading
Yeah.
scene.
So-
Nuts, mags and stuff.
So the thing was though, when I thought of doing a child-friendly decap. Decap is like when you read the stories out to the audience that they do. Damon Herd runs it.
Alright, yeah.
And so I thought, yeah, I'll do that. And I thought, well, a child-friendly one. Yeah, Bum Monster. So I went digging out the roughs for Bum Monster. Now, they were like, 15 years old or something at this point. So, and I've got a lot of garbage in there. I was going through my filing cabinets, And as I was doing it, I was actually, oh no, there's that. And it was that made me realise, I never really did give up on this. I've always done something.
Yeah.
At least every year there was another story knocked out, for no reason. I just never stopped,
Did
So I was
you
quite pleased with that. to
did
see
you
that.
draw with them, or like was there sketches that went along with them, or was it a case that you had just the story but no?
Oh no, I would always sketch it out.
Yeah,
That's
sketch
the way
it.
I wrote it. Anyway, I still do it. I write it and draw it at the same time, kind of thing.
So that's
As layouts.
yeah. So that's your kind of
That's my-
process, as they say.
So that was that, and then
Yeah, what is
the
like
kind
what,
of the details of it.
what would you say your process
Well,
is?
I brought some stuff to show you as a just to let you see. So the initial, well, no, this probably isn't the initial thing. The initial thing would be I'm walking about and something happens and I go, oh yeah, and then I scribble it on a bit of paper and shove it in my pocket or in my wee notebook.
Right.
But then when I'm coming down, these books are great for keeping everything in organised, and so I always like this one's complete here. So I'll just like sketch out whatever the idea is and date it. That one was the treehouse cover for number 7. That's just the idea.
Okay.
So I've got like, oh yeah, okay, the guy's like, yeah, great, I got it, and then there's a truck gonna hit him on the back page, innit? So I thought that was funny. But as for stories, this is how I write them, you know.
Right. Okay.
That's
So
it.
do you just do? Is it one layout? Just one rough version, and then pretty much you're ready to go.
Yeah, you just, I guess at this stage you're just penciling it. You're not worrying about the drawing at all. You know, it's all about the writing and the flow, and getting the dialogue and fitting everything on the page. So
Yeah,
you
make
reach
sure it all
some
fits
kind
in
of-
place.
Yeah. So
What's sorry, what's
well, that was specific for this story. This was what was this called? How to Make Comics Part 14. This was in one
There's
of
one
these.
of them
I
in
forget.
here.
yeah, I was
that's
just
it.
gonna say.
So, but yeah, you'll see how it ended up in here. Whatever it is. I forget which book.
Yeah.
What's in
I like that. I
the
love
back.
looking at that Iron Man story again before coming.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was that there. Behind the scenes looked how it's done, you know. And so yeah, I had this here. Oh no, it's the latest new Windows. You know, I don't know what any of this means.
Yeah.
And so I wanted a ridiculous screen, you know, of what it. And I think this actually was what was on my screen, on my
Right.
laptop at the time. And like a lot of things, you think, well, use that, you know.
Yeah.
I try and when you're looking for something you need, when you find it, you go right. That's it.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
you don't have to spend another hour making sure you get the right thing.
Yeah.
That did it. So I printed that off and I thought, well, I'll copy that when it's because that's the kind of thing. A lot of things are just an idea, but when it comes down to drawing it, you need reference and stuff. you know.
Yeah.
So that's what that was. I just taped that in there, and then when it came down to drawing this, well, actually, is this this should be in here. The next stage of this.
Ooh.
This is all my pencils and inks in this folder. Yeah.
Right.
All right.
So hang on a second. So what's
Right,
this? Is
bear
just
with
layout. That.
That's
That's
the
the
layout. So you got a
Right.
layout in the first book.
Yeah.
That is literally just to figure out what's going in every panel,
Yeah.
regardless of.
That's me sitting with nothing else,
Yeah.
writing it. What have I
Right.
scribbled? How to Make Comics Part 14. Part what? Blah blah. Dave Berg style character. Okay, this was my initial idea. Do you know Dave Berg? He does stuff, or he did stuff for Mad Magazine. There's a certain kind of character.
Oh.
He always, Dave Berg's lighter side of
Yeah.
this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So my first thought for this was it will be somebody like that. That was my first idea for the character. But then as I was doing it, I've came away from that idea and I've went with this person instead, with the heart on and stuff.
So basically, what we're looking at here is the penciled version of that, the proper one.
Yeah,
That's the layout.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's essentially just to
So it's
make
Yeah.
sure that everything fits on the page and we got the right flow and the right structure and the main message is there.
yeah. And it's
Then-
the first, nothing's really changed in these.
Mm.
So
I was
this
gonna say.
is the idea, and I've not once I've started drawing it, I've pretty much stuck to this.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll go, no, this works better if I do this.
You've done a couple. You've done a
Yeah.
couple of
It's
different
different,
angles,
the character is
Yeah.
different, yeah. It's called in the magazine.
and you went for like the printed
Yeah,
version. Didn't you?
that's right, for the type on the screen. And then I've actually printed that and stuck it on,
Yeah.
glued it on. And then the next thing is putting the tracing paper on it. So this actually is
Oh, right.
That goes on there.
I used to love tracing.
yeah, and then you just sit, do your panels
This
with your
is
ruler.
Hours.
And
Right.
then,
So that's. Is that how most?
no, everybody's different.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've
Different.
found that out even more on this, meeting
Of
people.
course, right.
Everybody does different things. I mean, a lot of people never touch a pen nowadays, It's all on the computer.
Digital.
Yeah, they do it digital.
Drawing on a tablet.
Drawing on the tablet or those, is it Wacom?
Yeah.
I think I'd
Yeah.
miss
Yeah, I like
that
this too
kind
much.
of tactile element to
There
it.
is still a crowd of people that do it.
Oh yeah,
For
yeah.
fun.
No, they do it properly.
Oh,
There's-
right,
there's
yeah,
industry,
yeah.
There's industry folk out there that still do it.
I mean, is it
That's
just because it takes a lot more time that people do it on the
I
computer?
think it's a lot of work on the computer as well.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's
a
more
lot of
that
effort as well and work.
Yeah, I think it's more for the ease of distribution more than anything. You're able to share it out to people a lot easier
Yeah,
if it's sitting on
Make
your
a
desktop.
PDF and get it.
Yeah. Whereas if
Yeah.
it's on that, you've got to then go to the effort of scanning it in, blah, 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 sharpening it up and editing it all out. You know what I mean? But it's just the same.
pull that
Really, it's
tracing
600,
sheet
doesn't it,
out
when you
for
think
that?
about it?
Yeah, it's
Well,
essentially
you
the
can
same
pull it out,
process.
that tracing sheet.
Yeah, sure. It is there.
Wow, nice.
And with figures, I tend to use the brush pen, and then if it's any other like the computer, any hard stuff, I get it's pens, because I like the variation of the line when it's a person.
So when it's a person, you use what? Sorry, what
So-
kind of
so
pen?
Just like a brush pen, so you're getting a bit of variation in line as you're going along.
Is a brush pen like a quill?
Kind
ink?
of. It's just kind of it's just got a head like a
Paintbrush.
somewhere between a paintbrush and a felt tip pen or something.
Ah,
and you can
okay.
reload it, and so it gives. It's got a bit of give in it as you go.
Oh, could you
And
pull
s-
one up on the net? Let me have a look at it.
And yet you can see, the lines even on the DVD box here or the screen. It's all thin line. It's all one line there.
Nadal.
Nadale.
Right.
So that's
So do you never use it? Because I've done technical drawing for tracing paper, so we use rotring
yes.
So that's
or Staedtler, them
Yeah.
kind of refillables that are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is
Yeah,
that?
there we go.
Right.
It's that kind of thing.
I've never
So
used a
flexible.
pen like that.
They're really nice. Usually you have to order them online. I've found they're not the kind of thing they sell in a regular
Yeah,
store.
Ah.
And they don't do art
Not
shops
even at
anymore
that
either.
Burns place that shut down, they wouldn't have had it.
They would have had them, yeah.
Right.
That's where I got them. That's where I used to get them colours.
there's a flexible point.
Yeah, it's a
I've
big
never
little
used a
list.
pen like that.
And that allows you to
Yeah, it's
have,
good fun.
Nice, right.
Yeah,
or to have different thickness.
It's infuriating though. 'cause
And
you
then
can't-
is that with kind of a technical pen?
Well, that's
More of
that's a regular.
a
pen.
0.5, whatever, 0.2.
Yeah, all the different
Probably
numbers.
more like it.
Yeah, so that's quite a thin one there.
Right.
Yeah, and then
Is that one of the ones with the cartridge though? Like a technical drawing pen? No. Mind you, things will
Yeah, I
lose on
think
from
I
that.
think it. No, I think that one was one that you use until it runs out.
Right,
you
and then-
throw it away. Yeah, but it lasts for ages.
Ah, so literally, you just put that on there and went over the main lines. and
Yeah, I
that's
would
it.
do that. Actually, the first thing I'd do is do all the panels, then do all the words, get them all right, and then get to work on the figures, and then do the background stuff.
What kind of pen do you use for the panels? Just like a
that-
Sharpie or something?
Yeah, I've got these nice. I can't remember what they're called. They're like felt black pens, and I've tended to use them. They've not even got a number on them.
Right, okay.
But it depends what. Sometimes you use like the other one's number 8 for that.
Good, because you can see how then when you do this final version, you kind of think, okay, I'll just make that line slightly less, than there.
Yeah,
And how it allows you a little bit, that final
gives a bit of character, flavour to it.
that final phase of just readjustment.
Sometimes it just it does its own thing, and you go, "Oh, I quite like that."
Yeah.
I'll take credit for that. I meant to do that, And then the next thing with this story was printing it off. So I printed it off, and then this one I just coloured in with colour pencils actually. So that's all just colour pencils.
So how? So you took the tracing paper and did what? Photocopied it. Would that work?
Yeah, kind
Yeah.
of. Would that work? I scanned it and then printed it.
You scanned it and then printed
Yeah.
it right.
And then the printer just coloured it with the pencil. So it's quite light kind of colour. It's not very.
That's how you get that slight variation in, say, the trousers there, is that you've done it by pencil. Here.
That one, I think the cover was. I think that was watercolours.
Ah, right.
So it's more.
Ah, see, yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite muted, when it's printed.
But you don't normally. A lot of your stuff's black and white.
Yeah,
isn't
so
it?
I wouldn't be going on with
Wouldn't
this.
normally be doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what ended up in Zero Sum Ballgum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I did once before I put it in, because there's the grain of the paper over everything.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of took out, made it more white around the panels as well, like highlighted it and deleted.
All right.
And I
Okay.
did that around every letter as well, all the lines, because you'll see it in the printed one that it's kind of subtle, but like it is slightly whiter.
Yeah, it is whiter. Yeah.
Just for the clarity. Like
What the bubbles are?
the bubbles are,
Yeah,
they
you
just
can
stick.
see
They just stand out a
it.
wee bit more.
There's more contrast.
Yeah.
So how did you do that? Sorry.
So for instance, look, there's the drawing table,
Yeah.
which is that's just white,
Yeah.
and I didn't do that on there, so that's the white as it is. And then if you look at that,
Yeah.
that's because I deleted out there, or that would have been the same colour as that as well. And in fact, the whole background would have been the same as that.
You deleted out.
I deleted out the entire surrounding.
So all the
way in
background colour there would have actually been the
would have been the
page.
colour of that, and the same with the
It's just again.
speech balloons. But I just sat and went through it all and deleted it all.
Sorry, I still don't understand how you deleted it.
Well,
You
just like
edited
on
the digital
Photoshop,
image.
on Photoshop.
On Photoshop, right?
Photoshop,
Okay,
yes,
right.
It's the
Yeah.
scanning image,
Scan
and that's what
it.
you work.
Oh, so on the
That's
scan,
what he's
right,
editing.
right,
He's editing
okay.
the scanning image, and then when he's
Now I
happy,
understand, right. No,
when
because
he's
I'm thinking,
happy,
how do you? Well,
when he's happy with that, then he
delete
prints
it
out.
from here.
Yeah,
No, he does that.
That's it. I never-
So it's editing
I
using the
assumed-
computer,
Okay,
and it's the scanning image that he's editing.
that I can get my head around.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's one story, for instance. I mean, everyone will be a different kind of routine.
But I'm assuming most of them will be it'll be that process minus the colour and then at the end.
Yeah.
Tell me though, when you
Yeah.
first started doing Fred Egg, you weren't doing that, were you? I mean, when I did tentative comic strips when I was a kid, I was just like, it was just one panel and you drew
Oh, yeah,
it, and
yeah.
it was like, oh, messed up.
Well,
there. Get the rubber out.
The bit that's still most like that is this bit.
Yeah,
This bit's here when you're free. You can do
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, yeah.
You can screw it up as much as you like because you're just passing
Yeah.
your ideas here, in the first layout.
because I never thought, when I was a kid, I never thought of that, and I suppose because teachers and stuff weren't interested,
Yeah, they wouldn't have.
they might have said, get a booklet, do your ideas there,
Yeah.
like a first version,
Yeah.
and then you go on, because I was just getting frustrated at doing first versions and it wanting it to be right first time and it not being right and going, right, I can't do this.
Every person
I'm going to
I
play
meet
football.
that does comics, it's fascinating. They've just all got a different way of doing it, and it's
Right.
so interesting to sit and listen to them. Just yesterday, I was speaking to somebody and they were showing me their stuff, and of course they had their big page, and it was all inked, but the pencils were sellotaped onto the back, and I'm going, oh, look at this, and then of course using Lightbox. So sellotaping it on, putting it on the light box, and then inking it, and then just leaving it sellotaped on the back because why bother?
That's a good point. Yeah.
So it's all
All right, so they're missing out the tracing kind of.
they don't trace, they do the
don't
light
trace.
box, yeah.
Straight onto paper.
Yeah. Took me years to start doing the tracing paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of course, what you do first is you sit and pencil it, and then you get your pen and go right on.
Yeah,
there.
that's what I thought. Yeah,
And then
that's
you rub
what.
it out,
Rub it out.
Yeah,
and then you go down like that. I liked it when it was penciled.
yeah.
So this bugged me for ages until I just thought, well,
Get some tracing paper.
That's the thing
Yeah.
with the pencil, you always get those lines, those small details.
it's just got a life to it.
It
the
has a
pencils,
life, yeah.
But you never really quite.
And then when you want to
capture.
do ink it,
Yeah.
either you have to have a selection of pens and you have to spend ages, which you could,
Yeah.
but what happens if you make a mistake and suddenly, oh, that's everything.
Yeah.
From now there, and I have to do some typics, I have to blank that out.
Mm-hmm.
But certainly with the pencils, there's always more life, there's always lots of it, there's always more. I always find more fluidity.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was young, I used to do some illustration, things like that, and I was with the pencils, I love it.
Mm.
As soon as I had to do the inks, and I thought, nah. No, and I reach a point I would say, well, I'll just do it directly with inks. I'm not gonna do pencil.
Right, yeah.
But that doesn't give you room for error. It's not the same flexibility.
Yeah, you got to get it right first time, haven't you?
And
doing
my
it.
friend Tony, and I'm not joking, he's called Tony, from Menorca.
He's called Jesus, really.
No, he's called Antonio. He's called Tony. So he does cartoons for newspaper, and he always likes he likes the paper. He likes to do the pencils and the inks. Sometimes he does stuff, but yeah, the pencil always says is the freedom, is the spirit of it. It has something that is difficult to reflect once you start to put the ink. The ink just make it solid, and whereas there's all these lines that you might not use, but it gives character.
Yeah, because
It gives character
I
to
like
it. There's
that
some
drawing
fluid,
more.
there's some movement.
Yeah. It's always the same. You always lose something, and that's
I
part of the
forgot that bit,
process.
Because what you're getting in something that solidifies with the ink, you lose that fluidity, that character, that.
Yeah, and this is like we can go in a few different ways here, and this is where we're going. We're here.
Yes.
There's no more options, you know.
Yeah.
But that's quite symbolic of the whole process, really. All the ideas are great in your head, swirling around, you know, and when you nail it down and it's on a bit of paper, that's what it is now.
Yeah.
And
So
that,
all the magic and
that reflects,
whatever.
that reflects here. So you have several lines,
Yeah.
and this is the line.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the one you've chose.
That's the one we've chosen to do
Yeah, I
that.
wonder
So-
if that's
Do pencilers and inkers in big comics tend to be the same person?
Not
No.
necessarily.
Oh, right. Because I'm thinking now, how would the inker necessarily know what?
Well,
They
they do
don't- there is
what
a-
they want, don't they?
Yeah, there's a lot of conversation on that point of inkers that perhaps spoil certain artists' work
Yeah,
because
could see why.
they're either going too heavy or too light, and it's something that the original artist is sitting looking at going, that's rubbish, and that then sparks up the debate between them of I don't want to work with this person because this person doesn't ink my work properly, but I'll work with this person because they do it spot on.
In a way, I
And
can
then
understand
negotiate
that
from there.
someone will work better with someone's style, won't they?
But then that's how the budget and everything comes into it, because the other person's more expensive and blah,
Right.
blah, blah. That's how you end up getting
Bit
some
of
stuff
effort
that's a
to
bit
that.
kind of all over the
But then
place.
why don't just to get over that, just get them to ink it as well, pencil it and ink it.
It's kind of happening more and
Is
more
it because
these
they're too
days.
busy?
It's happening more nowadays, but if you look at comics in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, especially in the United States, you look Marvel and DC, they had a time to do everything.
Yeah.
So there'll be a script. It could be a full script if you look into the DC comics, or it could be a Marvel script, which was just a basic idea of what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Then the artist will do all the layouts, will do all the pencils, will set up the whole rhythm of the story.
Mhm.
That will go back. The inker will do the ink, and the writer will do the speech bubbles and the dialogue, etc. That sort of idea.
Yeah.
That would be the Marvel way, sort of thing to do.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Marvel
as
method.
Tom was saying, is you would find stuff by Jack Kirby, and for example, you get Jack Kirby inked by himself, or you got Jack Kirby inked by, I don't know, Vince Coletta, or you would get Jack Kirby inked by, let's say, Don Haig or Joe Sinnott,
Mm-hmm.
and it changes everything.
Right.
The final product is different. You look,
Even
Vince
if they're
Coletta,
within the
there's lots
same-
of, you look at pencils, for example, Jack Kirby, prior to being inked by Vince Coletta,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of detail is gone
Yeah.
completely. The strength of the figure suddenly is gone. And then you look into, for example, Joe Sinnott, and Sinnott, it gives always that solid, basic, strong, a sort of shadow, there's a lot of ink in it as well. Or you look at Don Haig and it's closer to Jack Kirby, but it's not quite. So everyone has implies some detail in it.
Right.
Some artists,
no one person's going to pick the same line.
No.
So you're
No.
going to get two totally different representations. You could give three different inkers the same page.
Oh yeah,
and you get 3 totally different pieces of art.
But that's the work of the editor in this
To pick
big
the best.
enterprise that has to decide
who's gonna win.
in this limit. Well, this is the budget. This is who I can hire. This is who is available to do it.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Because it's not always who you can hire or who is or you would like. Is who you can afford and who is available to do it.
Just like football.
Like anything.
Football managers.
And so
Yeah.
comics will come out better or worse.
Right.
It's just. But if you look into comics out of that sort of way of marketing, like from Marvel and DC, you got something more independent, something a little more flexible. You go towards Europe and the European comics. It could be a more flexibility, and maybe the artist does his own ink, or maybe the artist is in a studio.
Yeah.
And the guy who does the ink is
It's
just
there,
sitting next
Yeah,
to him,
awesome, yes.
Yeah.
You can
And
always
and they
refer.
can relay, and they can
Yeah.
go back and forth.
Yep.
And sometimes these collaborations can work really well, sometimes not so well. But I mean, there is no setup, as far as I'm aware. It's certainly in independent comics and things like that. The majority of the time is you do your pencil and you do your ink.
Yep.
I think 2000 AD is always as well was them doing everything. You know, the pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
doing
inker
everything.
would do it. But there's some real horror stories about Vince Coletta as well. He was always in use because he was fast, you know.
Yeah.
He was fast because he would eliminate lots of
He
paper,
would, yeah,
lots of
they
detail.
would give him like a 20-page comic to do in
Somebody's
one
got it,
night,
yeah,
and he'd go, "Yeah, I'll do it." You know, he'd sit and ink the whole lot in one night. And it was just talk. We're just always say we're just like all the buildings in the background of it, just rub it out, you know, just rubbing it all out, and just thinking. You had half an hour to do this page, you know. They go rub out all that. On to the next one.
Right.
He was actually. Vince Coletta really struck me. It's bad to say, but just for how bad it was, you know, as a younger, you know, like reading. There was, I can't remember who the penciler was, but I remember reading this comic and going, I don't like
Can I
this
say
person.
Yeah.
If there's a
And I thought, I don't like this penciler. I don't like this artist, you know. And then I went and saw some other comic that drew, and I thought, oh, but that looks good though. And then I saw some other comic, and I thought, oh, wait a minute, and then I put it together. Oh, if this guy inks anything, it looks terrible.
right.
Because of course, at first you think more of a penciler, and you're not quite sure.
Oh no,
what an
I
inker's doing.
recognise that style.
Well, that's like, I mean, the Kirby really still comes through.
Yeah.
A lot,
Yeah.
of course it does.
It's got the
It's
curvy
only when
crackle.
you get different people he's inked that you start seeing this very blandness of line and a lot of details that
Vince Coletta, the patron saint of superheroes. That's quite a bold statement.
he's got a fan there. So he was in use because he. I mean, it is definitely. I mean, you can't really take all the Kirby out of Kirby.
No, you can't.
But it's still. Look at that.
Yeah, it's very flat compared to a lot of stuff.
And yet, I've seen people swear by. Some
very
people
sharp.
do Jack Kirby,
a lot of
Vince Coletta. Yeah, well, he famously inked most of that, or all of that Kirby Thor, the legendary run on Thor. He did, except Coletta inked it all. So who knows what was lost, you know?
Oh, there you go.
Well, look, there's an example. Look,
Yeah.
that's good. So there's the pencils
By Kirby.
by Kirby, and then he's inked it, and he's just went right,
missing
we didn't need
people and
him,
everything.
we didn't need
Oh
this.
yeah, so he's left.
just
He's
got rid
even
of it.
left people out.
It's
Yeah,
even like it's just a
Come
stramash
on, the
down here.
detail. And then
just getting the job done.
to give you a comic
Interesting.
that is seen by a different guy, not just Sino, but it's probably in early days.
Actually, there you go.
Look, yeah, he's got rid of the other that has the cat. He's got the Kirby hand in it as well.
Here's another one as well. There's the original.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then
Oh yeah, the building's a lot. The building's just a grid.
it's just gone.
It's just a
But
grid.
it's the hair, the
Yeah.
wings, the details on the face.
But there's the
Yeah.
previous one again.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Look at
Then
that.
it's completely
Look at
different.
that.
All the
Yeah.
Look at
Kirby
the amount of
spots.
Kirby
Shame, really.
Is it Kirby Crackle? Am I saying the
Kirby
right
Crackle,
thing?
They were crackers, yeah.
And you're right though. You can't take the Kirby out of Kirby, but too
But
much.
he's tried his
But he's
damnedest.
done this. Yeah, he's tried his best.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But again, with it being a business, they knew they could rely on him.
Yeah.
He needed this thing inked
He
by
was-
tomorrow.
Yeah, he was also probably the most
And he
affordable
would
at the
get done.
time as well.
Yeah.
Because
He
he was
made-
getting so much work, he could afford
Well,
to work
it is
for
said that
less.
he made lots of money,
Yeah,
and he used to earn lots of money because he was really fast.
but it's that thing because he's so fast. He can afford to be cheaper because he's getting so much work. He's just pumping that much out. He's getting paid from loads of different outlets at the same time. So it's it's incredible though.
It's incredible, and it's sad because if you look back in time and then you look into what he says or said, and it looks like this Vince Coletta was earning a very decent amount of money, and in proportion to what Jack Kirby was earning. But anyway, that's it for the stuff for every day. Let's come back to.
I wanted to sort of take a step
Friday
back,
comics.
step back a wee bit though, because we kind of stumbled across it a wee bit there because we were speaking about just slightly about influence. I just wanted to know what kind of influences you, but what influenced you to get into comics and why comics on a whole? Is there somebody within? Is there somebody within the family? Is it creative family or?
Nobody in my family was making comics, you know.
Or
I mean,
just
my
creative
dad
in
would
general?
draw things sometimes. Yeah, I do remember him drawing like birthday cards and stuff. You know.
Right.
And
Was he a good
oh
artist?
yeah, well, like he would sit. I mean, I had all these Hulk comics, and he would sit and draw the Hulk.
Ah,
You know,
okay.
and write like Happy Birthday and Hulk shouting Happy Birthday, and so that sticks in my mind. You know, it was cool.
Yeah.
And then my mum was like playing the organ and all that. You know, so there was music and that going on as well.
Yeah. Well, music seems
Yeah.
to be a thing that kind of influences you throughout your
Does that come
work
up
as
a
well.
lot?
Well,
Yeah.
you've done a couple of different things, and you did one to who was it again? You did a comic that
Oh,
was
Stuart Adamson.
Stuart Adamson.
Right,
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I know you've got
Yeah.
we
I do love music.
we know you anyway that you do have an affinity for music. Do you think that plays quite a big part on your influence behind it as
Well,
well?
it probably comes up just because it's something I'm interested in. I mean, I've got the same collector bug for LPs and things that I've got for comics and books, you know. So, yeah, and I mean, and I like playing drums on that as well, as you know. So, so that's fun.
So who would you say is your main influences for making these, for doing these comics? Not so much just comics in general, but for really creating these ones in specific.
In terms of why have I made these bloody books? Yeah. I guess that's the big question. And it's one I think about a lot. Why am I doing all these comics? You know? Why are we doing all this? And it's just... I just believe in it. You know? I don't know why. I don't even know why.
Just something for you.
I think I'm making the world a better place by making my comics. And I said that once and somebody went, why? And how does that work? And I'm like, I don't know.
Fair enough.
You know, it's just one of those things. I don't even, funnily, I was speaking to another artist about this, who's doing a course about looking into their art and why they're doing this and that. And he was talking about it, and I just thought, I'm not interested in thinking about that, really. You know, why comics?
Yeah.
I'm like, why not comics would be my question, you know. I've got too many comics to get on me to be stopping thinking why comics.
Yeah, yeah, that's fine.
Well,
Which is a total non-answer.
great,
But
'cause
no,
feel
but it's
that,
very
that's
true.
cool.
It's,
yeah,
It's-
I like doing them, and you know, hopefully the more you do it, you get better.
we have previously discussed it. It's just something that, you know, like you said, even in your process, it's something that you're out there and go, oh, that'll be something, you know. So it's clearly just, it's an outlet. It's something that you're.
I've always been
This is
interested in doing it, but it never really had any practical. Well, the way you get taught to live your life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like be a consumer or go and work for somebody or whatever. You do all these things, and it's like and they'll go and sit and draw comics for others and be creative. To be creative is almost, you've got to do that because you want to, haven't you? You've got to decide. I always say there's a million reasons, to not do comics, and there's only one to do them, because you want to do it, And then there's all these other reasons why you shouldn't be doing it, because you're meant to be doing this, that, it's too hard, it's too big, that. There's a million. You can sit and and you hear a lot of them, because people say, oh yeah, I'll do that, and then they kind of don't turn up, and then they'll tell you all the reasons why, and you think to yourself, I'm familiar with all these reasons, but you have to ignore all of them and do it.
What you mean? Like, actually you've been let down with...
Oh, well, I've not been let down, but say I'm involved
you wanted to collaborate with.
Like, a lot of these things are a lot of my stories are done for other publishers or things, So maybe there's a call looking for people to do stories on this or that. So I'll decide to do it, and then other people say they'll do it, and then inevitably some people don't manage,
Yeah.
And then they'll explain to you why they didn't.
And you're like, bullshit.
No, I don't think it's bullshit, but I think, well, you either do it or you don't, right? And then all the reasons don't matter. Fine, it's okay. You just got to do it, or not. It's up to you.
So that's your, a lot of the time your sort of work ethic behind that as well, though, is just to do the thing. Like,
it's also taken me years to get to this point of being so emphatic about it. I mean, I've spent plenty of time fannying about, as well. But I've probably started a lot of things and never finished them as well, because you're just not. In fact, there was a lot of things. I can think of stories right now that I've never finished, things from like 10, 20 years ago.
That are bugging you. That are still like of...
Well, not really.
Maybe not bugging you, but...
It was a different time. So, it was like, that's what I would have done then.
Not necessarily that you want to conclude them in the now. You kind of just leave them as they were then and do just ideas.
Yeah.
Has it become easier past 2 or 3 years with doing more and more, the whole process?
Well, I really got a lot more serious about it about 3 years ago, and I wrote it in one of my, I do all these notes at the back of my comics, and there was one I just wrote it in there that it was actually, funnily enough, it's cheesy, but it was a New Year's resolution. I was sitting on New Year's Eve, and I thought, do you know what? Screw it. This is it. I mean, this year I'm had it. We're not doing this.
Were you still at the library then?
No, well, I might have been, but it was totally irrelevant to that. I mean, it's not. These were all done while working full time, It's just it was time to go. It was you went to work, you finished, you came home, you did this, you did that. Right, it's 9:30. Now it's now to sit. Time now to sit for 3 hours.
Yeah.
You get to go to bed when the page is finished, and that was just the mindset. And again, there was no reason to do that. Nobody's ever sitting waiting on me doing another comic ever again.
No, but that's
and
good.
you have to take that on board.
Your schedule and
work ethic.
Yeah, the constancy, which is important, I imagine.
Yeah, and your question was, does it get easier? It's more of that almost becomes irrelevant. If it's easy or not, because you've got to do it.
Yeah.
It's time to go. By Friday it'll be done. And it's like, well, it'll be easy, but no, that's taking up time. You got to go now. I don't know. It sounds relentless, but if you want to do it, you're doing it.
Yeah.
And it was a resolution. Do you know? I was actually thinking about this, and I remembered that I can't remember. I shouldn't have started the story because I can't remember who it was. But Gary Groth in the Comics Journal was interviewing some cartoonist, and he's really famous, and I forgot his name. But he's in like his mid-80s or something, and he's a legend, and I forgot his name. I'm cursing. But there was one line that Gary Groth said to him, would you ever do a graphic novel? And he went, no, at this stage I'm not going to wait to start a graphic novel. I'm 86 or something. Whatever. He's doing wee bits here and there. And he said the line, I wish I was 30 again, or I wish I was 40 again, and then I would have time to get started, And And I was around about the time I was like 40, either going to be 40 or I just turned 40 or something. And I thought, there's a guy sitting here going, I wish I was 40 so I could get started. And I just took that as another wee sign. That just clicked something in my mind.
Yeah.
It's time to go. Time to go! So yeah, that was an inspiring little quote that he... Yeah. It's never too late.
Very good.
But since then, I have just been on a constant
mission.
Yeah, and a big part of it for me was deciding that what I saw as being an opportunity, everything I saw that was like that, I was going to do it. And you'll know yourself that you'll maybe think, you'll see something, oh, I could maybe do that.
Yeah.
You get that thought, and you go, yeah, that would maybe be good. And then you go away and your brain starts going, but this and that, and I just started going, shut up. Whenever that voice went, but would they really want that, or maybe, and I just thought, shut up, just shut up. Every time I felt it, and I just, you know,
blocked it out. That's good.
What if it's crap? What if it's rubbish? What if it's this? And you just go, forget all of it.
Yeah.
Because at least it exists.
Yeah.
If it exists, that's good, and then hopefully it gets better the more you do. And I do look back at my older ones and I kind of cringe, you know. So something must have happened. I must have got better, because I must be looking at the old ones going, I wouldn't do that now.
But you still
How old is that?
There's Erkatron. That's
because I've noticed from your later comics,
right. You saw
things have changed. Yeah.
Yeah. This was like the first 2 minis that I put together. So this is like about 15 years old, maybe even older. But again, that was this isn't even from the time I'm talking about doing it. Like getting, this is
way before, isn't it?
Yeah. I was always just taking my time, you know.
Yeah.
Because who cared? Nobody was waiting. Nobody cared if I ever did it, you know.
Yeah.
So I just took my time. Then I thought, okay, time's running out. Let's go.
What was the kind of thing that came about with that then? Because that's a lot of your other stuff is like we've said it before. A lot of your other stuff's very sort of grounded in reality, sort of everyday stuff. What is it?
But so was that.
No,
I
in some respects,
I thought it wasn't gonna be. You tricked me. It was great. I thought there was some kind of magic pen.
Good.
I did, and then it was like, oh no, it's one of his like reality stories.
Yeah. But it's
no, it's bad. It's like, oh no, he's duped me, which is good.
The thing that
you see what I'm saying,
I do know what you're saying. Yeah,
the thing that harkened not to reality for me was just the fact that it was like a Robot Wars type thing. And not everybody out there is sitting going, oh yeah, I'm going to put my robot that I've just made into Robot Wars. So what was that just from? Is that from seeing like Robot Wars on the?
Do you know? I actually started this before Robot Wars was on telly. That's how old this is.
Right. Okay.
And I had seen Robot Wars on telly as a kid, like back in the 70s or something. Some American program went off in the summer holidays or something, and it must have stuck with me. I thought, there's people making robots that are fighting. I'm sure I saw that on telly. It was one of those things. You know, did I imagine that?
Well, they went hand in hand with like say.
The big trucks.
Big trucks,
yeah.
The monster truck shows and stuff like
monster
that.
Monster trucks.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. Front of dump.
So dump.
So I kind of started that, and then it came on telly, which was interesting.
Yeah, with Craig Charles above people.
Yes, that's right.
Lister.
I actually put Craig Charles. I gave him a wee cameo, and I think he's in Dump. There's a bit where somebody's sitting flicking through channels on the telly. And one of them is Craig Charles sitting saying something about...
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really look like him. I just did it to amuse myself. Yeah, so... But it was... You know, I wouldn't say necessarily the paint wasn't magic, you know?
Right, well, we're sort of alluding to... What's was there
wasn't enough on then?
What's the story, Tom? You saying?
I was going to say for the people at home.
Yeah.
What's a brief overview of the story?
Yeah. Well, it starts with they're at school, and
two pals,
Bert and is it Ronnie?
Ronnie,
yeah. Can't even remember his name.
I kind of
Ronnie is. Ronnie's built a robot, and he wants Bert to paint it to put into the Robot Wars. Yeah, and Ronnie's interested in chemistry and stuff, and he's made magic paint that can make the robot indestructible. But he's not quite told Ronnie that yet, because he'll probably laugh at him. And so then the story goes through the week as they're leading up to the robot.
I really like this page.
Yeah, that's the dream sequence.
That's a great
that makes more sense.
That was him dreaming.
The other robots were.
It's this
Like
guy.
default.
It's Ronnie. Ronnie's dreaming.
It is Ronnie that's dreaming, and it actually gave the robot the same hairdo as Ronnie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And is that him imagining? Oh no. So is that him being the controller of the robot? Yeah, that's him being the controller of the robot, and they're asking the president.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, there's a lot of black on this page. Actually,
This is more like some of your more recent stuff in terms of how you blacked stuff out.
Yeah, I've just remembered that when I was starting Berserkatron, that was a very definite decision actually that I made. I did this for a amateur press anthology, which is one of those. I think I mentioned it on here before. Everybody sending their work and it gets collated and sent out. And you know, I've always like worshipped like Jack Kirby and Al Williamson and all these impossible artists that are so good. So you spend a lot of time copying in, and you know you're never quite reaching it, of course.
Yeah.
And then of course, if you did reach it, well, what would be the point of that? Because you would just be like
A copy.
a clone.
Yeah.
So when I drew this, I sat and thought, you know what, I'm gonna just draw without thinking about how good it is.
Yeah.
Or I'm just going to draw and let whatever my style is develop and keep it simple. So really, I got rid of getting rid of all the blacks. To me, in my mind, was a thing of just being brave. Just I'm not going to hide how crap this art is. You know, that was my mindset.
Okay.
You're going to see it plain as day. I'm not doing any very little shading, very little blacks, or it was just pure the story coming through.
Yeah.
And the art, you know, so laughably bad, I feared. You know, but I just remembered that was a big step away from trying to be Al Williamson, or you know, and of course you just end up, who the hell's Al Williamson? Nobody can draw like him. Only he can, you know.
Only he can draw like him, yeah.
So that was a big. But then I found I would, as of you're saying, it's more like, you know, it developed because other things start. I was keeping the simplicity of this, but other things were coming in. The line. I mean, when I started drawing this, what I was saying to you about drawing the figures, there's none of that. I was sitting with like a biro pen.
Right.
I knew nothing.
Yeah.
I knew nothing. And
So you were kind of doing it how
I just thought
I'd
I'll lay
maybe
it
do it if I
all
didn't know
over this.
nothing better and just went right pen and
Yeah,
panel.
just go. I had an idea for a story and I was just going to do it until it was finished, you know. And I got a lot of interesting feedback.
Is he the same character that is then in Offices
And
later on? Yeah, in Dumps.
Yes.
Yeah, with the checker jacket.
yeah,
Is it the exact same guy?
it's the same guy.
So he's grown
Yeah.
up. That's him at school, and then after is that him in the working environment? Is that how you
Exactly.
kind of done it?
See, there's a
right?
bit here.
I like
It's
how his
not like
mum's
that
got the
job.
same hair, but the other way around.
Yeah, that's right.
It's thought about the job.
Where was it? Yeah, if you thought about the job, your uncle's still keeping that job for you.
Oh right.
And then dump. Well, actually, you've not got number one, but that opens with him working with his uncle. Yeah.
He ends up at.
And this year you've had a great thing with the. I know that you're accessible to the entire world anyway through your URL and various pages that you have online, but
Yeah.
the whole David Bowie thing,
Oh yeah, the David.
the
Bowie
piece in
album.
the David
Yeah.
Bowie
Yeah,
book,
that was.
that's like
Yeah, I put that.
that's
on.
a mega
I put that
kind
on.
of bit of publicity, don't you think?
Oh,
This is a, well,
Yeah.
you know, you would have to kind of know, I guess, because this is This is a bit from one of his 90s videos that he did.
I always
It
forget
stuck
that's-
in my mind.
I always
Yeah.
forget that that's on the back.
I didn't really
Zero
say
Sum.
anything about it, I don't think. I maybe mentioned thanks for putting me in the Bowie exhibition. Yeah,
Well, it's now in the official book, innit?
yeah, there was. Well, I've never seen that book yet, so I must chase that up.
Right.
But there was. It was one of those things. There's the exhibition.
You get one, won't you, as a
Yeah.
contributor? Yeah.
Yeah, no, you would imagine so.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
No, because Bowie was so loved all around the world
Oh,
that
of course,
it's
yeah.
fantastic to have a piece of work in there, not just because you wanted to
They've
get a piece
certainly-
of work in there, but it's
Yeah.
because you like Bowie yourself.
Yeah. Well, and especially, well, you know, when he died, it was bad, of course. But they had Chris Evans on the radio.
I don't know what's worse.
It's like he's dead and he's on radio. Oh. But they were like paying tribute to him, and they had every morning. Okay, we're going to have Bowie from the every day, 60s, Tuesday, 70s, 80s, 90s, and then 2000s. And so he was doing that, and then he got to like the 90s, and I was really wondering what they were going to play, because he did a lot of good stuff in the 90s, Bowie, and he went, oh, we're just going to play more from the 70s because that's better. And that annoyed me,
Yeah.
actually. And so when it came to this project coming up, I thought I had an image from this was Jump They Say video,
Right.
and I could always remember him on the roof, and like in the birds and that and the tie, and then so just, of course it's easy now. I just went on YouTube and watched the video, you know, and then drew that image that I remembered so strongly, and sent that, and of course a lot of them, I don't have a likeness of Bowie here at all, but I felt like I was trying to capture that moment in cinema more
It's the
than.
spirit of it.
Okay, yeah.
That's the
So I
main
was,
thing.
yeah, I was glad to.
You don't have
do
to
that.
have Bowie's face on display to.
Well, I decided not.
See,
to.
that's like a posture of his, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that dance. Yeah,
That's-
always liked that song as well.
Mm.
Jump They Say. So that was the background to that. But they did make prints of them. So I'm
really?
hoping they go and make a. Yeah, it was like a temporary pop-up exhibition shop that they did.
Right.
It might have been part of, that like record vinyl day.
Yeah.
I think it was that weekend or something. They did it, and then Soho, they set up a shop there and had them all on the wall.
Fantastic.
So that was good, yeah.
Yeah. Before Nando takes off, then
Okay.
I'll ask you one last thing. Of
I like this book. I like this story.
That's on exhibit just now. The originals for that story.
In that pixels and thing.
Yeah,
Ah, I've
yeah,
not
that's
been
what she
there yet.
picked. She said she wanted that. So
So I always, if I ever do sit down with somebody and ask them about like their kind of their art, the stuff that they do, I always want to ask them where you kind of see yourself with all of this in 5 years' time.
Well, can I change my answer a bit?
Yeah,
Because whenever I
Change it in 5 years' time.
No, I always see, going to like the cons, the Thought Bubble, and on these zine fairs, I've got this image of myself being like 98, and I'm still turning up on my latest wee thing scribbled, and I've printed off 50 of them or whatever, and I'm hobbling in there in the carrier bags, and dump 26, and setting it up, and the rest of the young people, they're like, oh, there's old Dave's done it again, and it's barely a scribble, and I'm like, I see a lot of honour in that. So I took it from 5 years ahead to give it a few decades.
aye,
Yeah,
fair enough.
yeah,
Yeah,
happy with that.
yeah, big time.
It probably just further says I'm carrying on no matter what the
Just
hell
like it
is
is.
going on. Yeah.
That's
I like comics, man, and I like. The thing is, no matter how good or bad they are, they're mine. And every person that makes a comic, that's their comic, and I think that's great, and that's why I like to see other people doing it as well. I'm interested in what they do as well, because I could have never done it, unless it's some kind of horseshit that they've just copied or been told to do or something. But that's a whole other thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can see how your art's got your angles and different perspectives of the of late is bolder than
Yeah.
obviously than when you first.
Well, yeah. Hopefully there is a progression.
Mint of a line individual. He's brilliant.
Yeah.
David Robertson, writer, plot. Robert Davidson, pencil, art. Bob Davies. Dave Roberts, Robbie Davis, Rab Davison, and Davy Robson.
That was a good team. That was the Marvel team
And
that
that's
worked on that.
Iron Man, isn't it?
Iron Man, there he is.
I just
Do you recognise that taken from the Jack Kirby?
I
with-
do,
with the
yeah.
chains? I
Yeah.
love that picture. That was, and you know, it's kind of based a little bit on, you know, the famous cover, and it's like the three down the side,
Yes.
and he's like taking the boots out, and then he's taking the helmet out.
Oh,
And then the big one, he's like Iron Man.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, I'll use that, you know. Yeah.
that's amazing. It's good.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Well, thanks for suggesting to talk about my little
And
comic.
it's interesting to hear that every single one's got their own process. Let us use
Yeah,
the scene.
we do.
I mean, we always speak about it, just bits here and there, and I always thought, like, people have got to be sitting thinking, you know, what, like, even us, when we sit and we just kind of
Yeah.
speak about it, just wee tiny bits. It was good to kind of sit down and
Yeah, well, I appreciate
get
that.
a bit more of a wider scope on it.
Yeah. What was it I said to you? Well, I would be crazy to say no to this, so I'll say yes.
Exactly.
And you said, do you want to do it? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess it's a bit odd because it's not like a bunch of critics talking about your comic or somebody interviewing you. It's your mates, you know. So it's kind of.
It's your peers.
I don't know. It's
But it's good I see that you do get your work reviewed, don't you? Sometimes online.
Yeah.
Is that through you sending
Usually,
copies
yeah,
to people?
Yeah, most of the time it is. I'll factor that into however many I'm printing. You know, there's so many for sending off to reviewers and things.
How many do you send off to read?
Depends how.
Have you got a list, a general?
Funnily enough, with Berserkatron, I've printed less this time because although it's my new book, it's not really. It's my old one. You know?
Yeah,
it's
So,
a
so I did
reprint,
less
yeah.
of them than I did a Zero Sum. Because Zero Sum's still only like 3 months old or something.
It's not worth as much as the first print.
No. First print, you'd get at least £1.50 if you could find it. Yeah.
So, for the people at home, where can everybody find you?
Oh well, just Google Fred Egg Comics.
Spell.
Fred. It's not fried. It's Fred.
Fred.
Yeah, and
Fred Egg.
and there's a like a shop, you know, what is it? Big Cartel shop online. Yeah, and there's loads of clips and things on my website.
You're on Twitter and whatnot.
I'm on my Twitter at
And-
Fred Egg Comics.
I would recommend
Fred Egg Comics.
visiting your. Is it a MySpace? No.
Blogspot. Or a blog.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blogspot.
The blog spot, because there's shed loads of stuff on there which is about all kinds of things to do with comics.
Yeah,
It's not just
yeah.
your platform
That's
to
right.
your stuff.
I talk about anything.
It's you
I think
musing
of
on
as well.
comics as well,
Yeah.
which is really good.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
No, it is. It's very interesting.
That is.
Mm.
And it's nicely searchable.
Yeah, I
by
try to take
tags.
loads of tags in and labels and what have you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Much appreciated.
They say, hey, that's really something. They feel he should get some time. I'd say he should watch his ass, my friend. Don't listen to the crowd. Say, judge.
If you'd like to contact us, send us an email at thatcomicsmell@gmail.com or at thatcomicsmell on Twitter. Thanks for listening.